Hello YouTube, today I'm going to be trying something that I thought would be interesting. Um, I wanted to go through Photoshop and show you my editing process that I go through. I have this raw image right here and I was going to edit it and I thought, well, why don't I just record it and show everything that I'm doing. I hope this is interesting. I thought it would be a good idea. I'm not going to be doing any specific techniques. I'm not going to be focusing on anything but more of the whole process, and I hope you enjoy that. I'll try to be descriptive with everything, but I'm not going to go into detail for every single little thing for time's sake. And also, I don't really know a lot of technicalities. I just know it works. So please follow along, and I hope you enjoy. This should be a series. I'll do multiple images, so you have different examples to work with. Okay, so let's open this up. I took this with the Canon T2i. This is in my downtown area, and it was a painting on a brick wall, and I thought it looked interesting with the grass. Okay, so camera opens it. I usually just go straight into Photoshop. I don't mess around in there. All right, so the first thing I want to do is duplicate the background. That way, I always still have that base file, base layer. Anyway, so go with layer one. The first thing I want to do is fix the exposure because it is underexposed. However, I do want to maintain this white detail because, as you can see, there is some detail in there, and if I increase the exposure, it'll blow this out. So we'll just duplicate that layer again, and we'll keep this base layer down here so we can do a layer mask and we can keep the detail inside. Okay, so go to the top layer. I'm gonna increase the exposure to the point where it looks about right. That looks good as far as the flowers go. I mean, I could go a little brighter, but everything else looks relatively good. Okay, so I'll press OK. Now excuse me. Now I'm going to go to the layer mask and go into paints in black and bring out some of that detail back down in the bucket area, the white area. This is really rough, but just try to avoid all the color areas. And we're going to go back and we're going to increase exposure again because it is underexposed, but just not as much as everything else. And I always use soft brushes. Use a hard brush. It's sometimes it can really make it obvious that you've been tampering with it. So I'm just going over like all the white areas. I think that should be good. The wheel looks fine. There isn't that much detail in there that I need to worry about. Alright, so we'll go back down to the base layer, layer 1, and we will go back to exposure, and we'll increase exposure there. Okay, so that's good. So you still have the detail in the wheelbarrow, but it is matching the exposure of the rest of the image. We'll go back in here. Oops. There we go. Okay, sorry. Just make sure I got all the spots. It looks good. Okay. So we're done with that. Okay, so the next plan of action is I am going to adjust some contrast settings. And also, yeah, actually before that, I'm going to merge the top two layers. I know I don't really work with smart layers or anything like that, and I don't know if it's bad, but everything I go through is usually pretty permanent. We'll go to adjustments. Let's adjust the contrast. So as you can see, if we went all the way 100, that's way too much contrast, but if we just, the problem is that I don't want to lose the detail on the grass, in this bush right here. So I'm going to create, another layer where we can increase the contrast of this, but then we'll use a layer mask and keep this the same. Yeah, layer masks are extremely useful, especially. I mean, it's incredibly useful, especially when you just have a particular part of the image you don't want to edit, or you just want to save for later, or you want to do something completely different to it. Okay, so we'll go to contrast. We will up the contrast. So, all right, that looks good. Press OK. We'll go to layer mask again, and we will, let's increase the brush size. We will paint in black to bring this color back. Yeah, that rhymed. I apologize for my voice. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'll just leave it at that. And we will see where we're painting that way. And let's also, I just realized the opacity is at 33%. Let's put that at 100% to make it a lot faster. Okay, there. And I know I can't really see what I'm doing to the image, but I just trust that everything should be fine. Okay. So before and after, it looks a lot better now. It looks a lot, there's much more definition. And then once again, we shall, actually, I think I'm going to increase the exposure of the leaves now. So, as you want the image, once again, the histogram, you want everything to be in the center. You want everything to be perfectly exposed. So, start increasing the exposure of the leaves. And right there, it looks about right, and it looks natural too. See, the important part for my philosophy on Photoshop is not to create like not to cheat basically. The camera can't capture what your eye can capture, so you're basically trying to fix that issue with Photoshop. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna merge down this layer. Right, we have it all in one piece, and then we're gonna go to shadows and highlights. And I don't know, it's always default. We're just gonna play around and see what looks good. I like the contrast that we have on it, so I'm not gonna change anything. I might bring the highlights to 10%, because that way we have a little more detail. Maybe 5%, because I don't want to bring the brightness of the image down, because then we'll have to see it's a balance between increasing the exposure, but then also you lose in highlights essentially. I mean, you blow it out with highlights, but then when you fix the highlights, then it brings exposure down. So it's this teeter-totter effect. But I think that looks good. And in the final image, we might increase the exposure just a little bit more. Yeah, I basically just go through the adjustments panel and basically look at everything. I mean, I'm gonna go to hue and saturation. The reds are perfectly saturated, but what I do is I'll go to like the color yellow or each individual color, and I'll just go all the way out and just see how it changes the image. Like, I'll put that at 35. See how it's making the leaves pop a little bit. We'll go to greens. Greens will leave B. Cyans, so all the way, we'll see what we're affecting. Cyans will increase because, as you can see right here and here, has a lot more color. Blues. Okay, blues does a lot. Run the wheelbarrow. Put that 30%. And magentas. Magentas not much. Alright, we'll just leave that be. Okay, so now we have this image. We can see how we've progressed so far. We turn this into that. I think that's pretty good. I think I'm done, honestly, with this image. I don't do too much, but this is just my process. I hope you guys follow along, and If you disagree with anything I do, I mean that's completely understandable. Or if you have any other tips or ideas you want to tell me, then leave them in the comments. I really appreciate that. But the last thing you want to do, you never want to sharpen before you do all your edits. Sharpening should be one of the last things you do. So I'll show you my sharpening technique. So I go sharpen, unsharp mask, and I do this formula. And I probably shouldn't be doing the same thing for each image, but it works for each image basically. So I go to 80% amount and then 1 pixel radius, and I do that. And then I go back to sharpen, unsharp mask, and then I do 20% with the radius of 40 pixels. And that combination really makes it pop without making it look heavily altered, or you don't get any halo effects. It just really clears things up. Anyway, so I press OK, and I think we're done. We'll see. So before, after, before, after. Yeah, so I think that looks good. I really like the way the image turned out. There's a lot of different things going on, and it looks decent. I'm not sure if I want to. One thing I might do is crop this image. Let me crop the door. I think that looks better. Just keeping this. It keeps things simple but complex at the same time. You just don't want it to be too busy. Anyways, and then make sure before you save the file to always convert it to sRGB, because that's probably one of the most popular color profiles that any print shop or internet site uses. So if you want your colors to be accurately represented, make sure to convert it to sRGB. And then save. Go to save it as a JPEG. And save. This is the settings I use. I do quality of 10, baseline standard. I use the settings because that's the company that I go through for printing is White House Custom Color, and they recommend using 10 quality and baseline standard. And that's just what they prefer as far as file size goes. So I just follow along those guidelines. So press OK, and we are done. All right, so thank you for watching. I hope you like this. I'm going to do more of these, hopefully. And please comment, rate, and subscribe. I really appreciate it. And I hope this was helpful for you. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.